Developing good morals in the youth. Every day we seem to be hearing about someone getting murdered or beaten up. Many times they are simply defending themselves when they are being mugged. Violence and hatred seem to be everywhere to the extent that you start to fear going out. We should all be concerned with the society that we are living in. People are looking to blame others for the decay in the society. They blame everyone but themselves. These days Islam is under attack and presently they are focusing on the veil. But why blame someone for being modest? This, I believe, is the biggest problem. Morality has been lost and, in a way, I think they are correct to blame outside influence, but they are pointing in the wrong direction. I feel that we are being heavily influenced by materialism. When we look to Western countries, violence and bad morality has been dominating these countries for so long, and the youth are constantly being influenced by TV and music. The bad messages being transmitted by the media seems to be affecting the youth. Even the Muslim youth are being affected by these messages. The West are trying to blame Muslims, but in fact it is the Muslim youth who are giving up on the Islamic values as they try to assimilate into the Western culture. And this is the problem. Our youth are constantly being told that they should become more Western, but to do so, they have to accept a culture which is losing all its moral values. But if they do not mix, then there is a danger that they will go too far the other way. They will become extremist and hate the society and isolate themselves from it. This could lead to become terrorists or creating more hatred against Islam. Once, Hazrat Mirza Tahir Ahmad, the fourth successor of the promised Messiah, was interviewed about the effect of the British lifestyle on the youth. He said, "I feel that the youth of today can guard against the so-called Western temptations. It is so easy otherwise to fall into a trap of being an over-Puritan, too strict in religious matters, and then not being able to cope, break down totally, and then of course nothing may be taboo in one's mind. If a person does not cross extremes but takes a license to mix with Western culture, it should be to a limit without being influenced by Western people, but to influence them through your actions and adherence to principles. I found this method very successful, and therefore I had a large circle of friends amongst fellow students and also professors. Therefore, we have to make sure that our youth has a good understanding of their religion and lead by example. They should mix but keep the Islamic values. The Holy Quran relates in chapter 41, verses 35. And good and evil are not alike. Repel evil with that which is best. And lo, he, between whom and thyself was enmity, will become as though he were a warm friend." As parents we have to keep teaching our children their faith. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, has guided us. There is no better and superior present that a father can give to his children than cultivation of good morals. This is the responsibility of a parent, to raise his child in the best way. They need to instill taqwa, righteousness in them, and one of the best ways to achieve that is to encourage them to do the salat/prayers at home and at the mosque. They need to develop a close link with Allah, the one God, and hear people's personal experiences about Allah, and how religion has benefited them. It is important that they need to understand about a living God and develop a close relationship with God. In this way, they will develop their morality and be good citizens. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah and Imam Mahdi, has said, "Before you say something, you should think over it well and try to understand what the consequence of saying that thing is going to be. You should also be sure whether Islam permits you to say that or not. Unless you have thought over in this vein, you should not say anything. It is better to keep silent if the talk has to create disorder. But this also does not behove a believer that he should hesitate to tell the truth. He should not mind the taunts of the people, nor should he fear anyone to tell the truth or to bear a witness in favor of the truth. There are so many issues that our children face as they try to find an identity in this un-Islamic society. It is easy for us to judge them, but first we should try to understand them. They have to grow up in this society and all the pressures that surround them. It is easy to say, don't do something, but in this society the children are taught to question, then they want to know why shouldn't they do it. We all look at things differently, and naturally you will look at something differently than how your children will look at it, but we should be ready to listen to their problems and try to suggest ways to help overcome them. At the end of the day, we should bear in mind the advice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, who said, respect your children and give them good moral training. First, he has told us to respect your children, that means that we should listen to them. Then we should give them good moral training. The advice that we give should be based on the Islamic teachings, keeping Allah's pleasure always in mind. There has to be compromise, but there also needs to be limits. For the sake of peace, we should not sell out our faith or water it down, instead look for an answer which is both pleasing and Islamic. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, has said, make religion easy for others to follow, do not make it difficult. Similarly, present religion in a pleasing manner, do not make it repulsive to others. If we want to change this society, then there has to be a revolution, just as there was a revolution at the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He wanted to change the society that he was living in, and he achieved it by following the Islamic teachings and displaying those teachings to others. Our youth must show this society what a wonderful religion we have, and that this should be the influence they should run after and not the Western bad irreligious influence which is tearing this society apart.